All right, guys, this first slide here is going to explain the distributive property. We're going to use this anytime that we see parentheses. And what's going to happen is we're going to take the number that is outside the parentheses, so in this example here, A, and we're going to multiply it by everything inside. So A times B, and then A times positive C. Same thing, A times B down below, and then A times negative C. Our examples down below, you see we already have the answers there, but once again, just going through how we found that, we're taking whatever number is in front and we're kind of breaking it down into two mini problems. So 3 times x, right? That's the same thing as saying 3 times 1x. So 3 times 1x is our first mini problem. That's going to give you 3x. And then 3 times 5 is our other mini problem. 3 times 5 is going to give you that 15. Okay, so notice you can break it into two kind of mini problems. Our next example down below, we're going to distribute the 2. So 2 times 4x gives you 8x. 2 times negative 3 gives you negative 6. And then our last example on the right, we're distributing a negative 5. So negative 5 times negative 2. Remember that double negatives will equal positive. So positive 10. And then negative 5 times 3x will give you a negative 15x. All right, notice that sometimes you will just get a number, right? If you have two numbers multiplied together, you will get a number for your answer. If you have a variable with it, though, the final answer there will have a variable as well. On slide 2, we have 3 examples for this. All right, so go ahead and try these on your own first before you look at the answers that we're about to show you here. So number 1, distributing the 4. 4 times 2x is 8x. And then we're going to do the 4 times the negative 3. Notice that that negative sign goes with what's behind it. So 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. That minus works as the same way as a negative. Number 2, we're going to distribute the 3. So 3 times x. Remember that x is by itself, it's single. So that's the same thing as saying 1x. So 3 times 1x is 3x. And then we're going to do 3 times the positive 5, which is plus 15. All right, so once again, kind of breaking this out into two little mini problems. 2 multiplication problems where the number that's out in front is being multiplied by each of those. So negative 2 times 3x is negative 6x. And then the second little mini problem is negative 2 times negative 6. Those double negatives will create a positive, so plus 12. All right, so there are your answers for practice problems 1, 2, and 3. Here we have 3 more examples. You will notice at number 4, there's no number in between your parentheses. This is just, think of it as an invisible 1. What we're really doing is just distributing that negative sign, which is the same thing as multiplying by negative 1. So negative 1 times 5x is a negative 5x. That negative 1 times positive 1 is negative 1. All right, so notice when that negative sign's out in front, all we've done is we've taken both of these numbers inside the parentheses and made them negative. We've changed their signs. For number 5, we have 7 times 3, which is 21. And then the second little mini problem that we have here is 7 times negative x, right? That's a negative 1 there. So negative 7x. And then our last problem, 2 times 4x is 8x. And then you have 2 times positive 3, which is positive 6. All right, so a couple things to remember is that your parentheses means multiplication. Okay, so parentheses means multiplication. And then to remember that the number outside the parentheses is being multiplied by everything inside. All right, so that whatever is outside, you're distributing it. You're passing it out to everything that's inside. Slide 4, we talk about combining like terms. So the way I like to think about this is if you have a big pile of fruit in front of you, we want to separate it. So we're going to put all the apples together in one pile. We're going to put all the oranges together in another pile. We're going to put the bananas together in another pile, right? It's easier if we can put those things into like piles. So with our equations, what that means is variables that are the same. So that top picture there, you notice that we have 4a and 2a, right? They both have the variable a. So we can combine those together, put them in the same pile to get 6a. Same thing with numbers, right? We call those constants. They don't have variables with them. We can put those together. +5, -3. Combining those together, we put them in the same pile, we get a +2. So you notice we can take this big, long equation and simplify it to just 6a plus 2. All right, once again, you can see down below here 3 examples worked out with the answers. On slide 5, once again, guys, go ahead and try working these out on your own before you go through and listen to the answers to these. What I like to do is circle in the same color the ones that I will put together. Notice that I put this sign that's in front of each term with it. All right, so this first one, we're going to put our x's together. So 8x and -2x. Once again, notice that negative sign in front of it stays with it. So 8x, -2x, combining those together, you should get 6x, right? 8 minus 2 is 6. The second part is the numbers. I have +3 and a +1. Combining those together, I will get +4. Number 2, combine my y's, so 3y and a -y, right? Remember, that's a 1 there if there's no number. So 3 minus 1 will give me 2y. The next part of it are the x's. I have -8x and a +4x. So -8 plus 4 will give you a -4x. All right, so notice we're putting the x's together, we're putting the y's together. And then this final problem, let's start by putting our numbers together. So 10, -7. So 10 minus 7 will give you 3. So we've combined those two numbers to just make one number there. And then the x's again, +x, right? That's a 1 right there. +8x. 1 plus 8 will give you 9. So plus 9x. All right, so notice how I'm kind of color coding this to show you which terms go together, which ones you can combine. Think of it like fruit, right? Put the apples in one pile, put the oranges in another pile. We're trying to take this big, long equation and we want to make it shorter by combining each of those piles into just one thing. All right, next slide, we've got 3 more examples here. So this first one, I see I have 3 variables, A, B, and C. So I'm going to have 3 piles. So 2A is going to combine with the -8A, right? They both have the variable A. So 2 plus -8 or 2 minus 8, doesn't matter, will give you -6A. Doing my B's now, I'm going to have -3B and a -5B. That should give you -8B. And then my last part here is the C's, +C. Remember, that's a 1 and a +2C. So 1 plus 2 will give you 3 C's. All right, so notice I have that big, long equation, and look at how much shorter I can write it. That's what we mean by simplifying. Number 5, let's put our x's together. We have 5x, we have a +3x, and we have a -2x. We have 3 things that can go in that pile. So 5 plus 3 minus 2 will give you a grand total of 6x. And then you will notice that the 2y is by itself. There's nothing to combine with it. that means it's just going to stay how it is. All right, so plus 2y. There's nothing to combine, so it just stays how it is. And then finally, our last practice problem, 7r can be combined with the negative 2r, right? They're the same thing because they both have the variable r. So 7 minus 2 gives you 5r. And then once again, notice that our plus 8, there's nothing to combine with it. It's the only one that's just a number. So that means it's just going to stay how it is, plus 8. All right, so there are answers for numbers 4, 5, and 6. On slide 7, you will see a more complicated problem where we are doing both of those concepts in a single problem. So the big thing to know here is anytime you see parentheses, as you can see up here at the top, if you see parentheses, the very first thing you should do is distribute. Before we can do anything else, we have to get rid of those parentheses. All right, so you can see here, we put the blue arrows to show we distributed the 2, we distributed the 4 to get this second line, right? Once you are here, now you can combine like terms, all right? So you can see I circled the x's in red, I underlined the numbers in green. So our final answer here is 10x plus 2. All right, so on slides 8 and 9, we have 2 examples of that. All right, so this first one here, I'm going to distribute the 5. So 5 times 2y is 10y. 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. You notice that the second half of our equation, I have another set of parentheses. That means I'm distributing a different number this time. Now it's the 3 that's in front of it. So I'll do 3 times 4, which is positive 12, so plus 12. And then 3 times y, right? That's a 1y, so plus 3y. Notice that after that first step, my parentheses are gone. That's a good thing, right? I've done that first step of distributing, so my parentheses are gone. Once that happens, now I can combine my like terms. So I'm going to put my y's together. I have 10y and I have a positive 3y. 10 plus 3 is going to give you 13y. The second thing I have to combine are the numbers. I have negative 15 and a positive 12. Negative 15 plus 12 will give you a negative 3. All right, so that's my final answer. I was able to take this big, long equation up at the top and simplify it to 13y minus 3. So that's the whole point of doing these two things, is to take something that's long and complicated and make it simple and shorter and easier to use. All right, one more example here. Slide 9, we're going to do it the same way, which means first step has to be to distribute. So negative 3 times 2x is negative 6x. Negative 3 times negative 5, remember double negative makes positive, so plus 15. The second half of my equation, I'm going to be distributing the positive 2. So 2 times 4x is positive 8x. And then 2 times negative 7 is negative 14. All right, so both of those, the number that's in front is being multiplied by both things within the parentheses. Now that the parentheses are gone, I'm ready to combine my like terms. Anytime you see things that are similar, put them together. So in this case, I see 2 things that have x's. I have a negative 6x and a positive 8x. Combining those together, negative 6 plus 8, I'll get 2x. And then I'm going to do the same thing with my numbers. I have a positive 15, negative 14. Combining those together, I'll get plus 1. So once again, I started with this big, long equation. I've got 2 sets of parentheses. I've got negatives everywhere. And I can simplify that so that my final answer is just 2x plus 1.